It's one of the biggest reality TV franchises around the world. 11 different series have been produced in the United States, with another 21 international adaptations. Rihanna, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, Jonah Hill, Harry Styles, and even Michelle Obama are obsessed with this reality franchise. We have a very special guest joining us. Now, she's a renowned veterinarian and owner of Bondi Vet, and she has been making headlines in Australia left and right. But that's not all. She's also the newest addition to the Real Housewives of Sydney, Season 2. Welcome to Spilling the Tequila, Dr. Kate Adams.
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited.
Thank
you.
you.
Look amazing.
I always watch.
You always
I watch you guys. Yeah,
Oh.
I watch you guys.
Can you tell our reaction? No one's ever said that to us before.
We're like, you mean watch
Yeah.
what? We're like this.
Yeah, I saw the one when you were over at BravoCon.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
that was
Favorite one. I love that one.
Yes,
Oh my
we
gosh.
can dabble into that a bit later because Grace went over to BravoCon and we know that
Yeah.
you're a fan of Real House of Beverly Hills. So we have a lot of
Yeah.
questions about that and you can dabble in.
Yes.
But to start the show,
We usually start the show with a shot of tequila. I'm not sure if you have.
that's
But
okay if you don't
that's
have one.
okay.
Oh, no, I can't even see any vodka in sight.
We will
No,
have
that's
one for
okay.
you. So
Cheers.
this is for you to Dr. Kate Adams. Oh, God. Sorry, that was really strong. Okay. Let's start the show. Dr. Kate, what's harder, being a doctor, taking care of staff of 35 people, or the animals, or being in the Real Housewives universe right now and fighting with all those bitches?
Definitely Real Housewives is harder, for sure, 100%. So, I don't think people actually realize the amount of work that this show is, because as a viewer, you just kind of think, oh, they're just living their lives, but it's a lot of work, there's a lot of things that go into obviously social media management, but also, even when you're actually filming, so things like your outfits. I always tell everyone I didn't have a stylist. I did it all on my own and I wanted to do it all on my own. And,
Good on you.
you're talking like 5 days a week, multiple outfits a day. So, it can certainly, my weekends were spent, running around trying to look for my next beautiful outfit.
Yeah, and I always think I'm the number one person in this world that says being a Real Housewife is a full-time job, and anyone who talks shit about it,
100%.
they should try it. But what I want to know is, can you write your outfits off on tags?
Ooh, good question.
So I'm not sure actually I want to answer this question.
No, I was
because
gonna
am I
say-
gonna get you're gonna send it to the tax office?
Do I look like I'm going to send it to the tax office?
I mean, I think mostly yes, right? I think, probably there's probably some limitations, and I haven't, I'm sure my accountant's going to look at my this year's tax and be like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So look, it's worth a crack.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we just start from the beginning? Did you ever see the first season of Sydney? Did you ever see it and think, oh, I want to do that? Did you ever think you would be approached? What?
It's a really funny question because, you guys, I'm like the master of manifesting. And I know that sounds like totally woo-woo, but, even before it was cool,
Yes.
I was always that person that I always just kind of always saw what I was going to do. And it wasn't like as though I wished for it. It wasn't a wish. It was more like I often have this feeling where I think I'm going to do that. And it's like this pure belief that I'm going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually the first series of Beverly Hills Housewives. Way back. You remember Taylor?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Adrian Malou.
Oh, we know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I love.
So I remember watching that series and thinking, I'm going to be on this show one day.
Wow.
And I just never really, it was just obviously and everyone would have said, but how? What are you going to do to get on the show? And at that time, there wasn't even a Sydney Housewives. I just thought one day I'm going to be on that show. I just felt it. And it was really funny because when I was first approached to be on this series, after the last series, obviously I was like, oh, actually, maybe I don't want to be on that show.
Yeah.
And when I was approached this series, I really just felt like, okay, well, who says no to Housewives, right? And I'm sure there's people out there that say, oh, I would say no to Housewives, but I think, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, when opportunity comes knocking, like, you answer, you roll the dice, and you never want to look back and think to yourself that you didn't do something because you were too scared.
That's true. We
Why
would get
would you do that?
along with you because Grace and
No.
I are massive people in manifestation. We manifest all the time. Like lotto numbers never happens. But the fact that you say that, we're a big believer in that. And we always go for our dreams and manifest. So see, she's a good example. And to
Yeah.
our listeners, that like obviously when you
Yeah.
manifest, you actually have to put stuff out there and plant the seeds. You can't just
Do.
lay in your bed and manifest and it's going to come true. But the fact that you put yourself forward and not scared, we've done a lot of stuff like that. So I like that and I agree with it. And congratulations. And the world's just rewarding that to you now.
Yeah, you've got to roll the dice. You got to put yourself out there because, you know, like, unless you say yes to things, like, you know, who wants to live like a flatline life? So look, did I ever know? And no, I didn't. But in saying that, it's, you know, it's even difficult to think about having, you know, somebody that isn't married and doesn't have any children on this series. And obviously it's happened in America before, but in Australia it hasn't, right? So, you know, if you asked me in 2016 or whatever, or 2017, when that first series was aired, would I ever be on this show? My logical answer would have always been, no, I don't see how that's possible because it was never possible.
Yeah.
But here we are, no children. I have a house, guys, and I do clean it. So as far as I'm concerned, like, what constitutes a housewife? Right?
Exactly.
Oh, I agree. Honestly, when you came on the show, and I think I said to Sunny, I was like, because I'm single and not that I'm a real housewife, but I was like, thank God there is some representation here in Sydney of somebody that's not like, you know, beautiful daughter and son and the perfect husband and the perfect.
Totally.
Great for them, but like, it's nice to see.
They'll be in
And,
divorce
you
in
know,
10 years anyway.
what I don't like is I don't like the word single because it
Yes.
conjures up that you're just sitting at home with your cats on Saturday nights. And
Thank you
I
for
just
that.
think it needs to just say be independently owned and operated. Like, that's kind of where it's at. Because when someone says, are you single or are you not? Well, I'm never really single. Am I really ever, like, it's just that there's potentially more than one person that I'm hanging out with.
Good answer. And why
Do you
do
know what
they
I mean?
it's a negative?
Yeah.
We're both single. So we, like I said, Dr. Kat, we hear you. We hear you. We're all
Right.
on level with that, with the manifestation being single. So we hear you with that. I just want to get something so people don't get confused of people who start watching Real Housewives of Sydney. So you didn't buy the vet of Chris Brown. And when we say Chris Brown, not the R&B singer, Dr. Chris Brown from Bondi, who also has Bondi Vet. You have your own clinic called Bondi Vet, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
So we are the original Bondi Vet. Obviously, the Bondi Vet it's the oldest vet clinic in Australia, actually. It was opened in like 1963 along with Sydney Uni. So it is the oldest in Sydney. And it is one of those things that, so obviously it was always kind of bumbled along as like a one-man band, I suppose, you know, just one kind of vet or two vets. And so that sort of existed for a really long time before me. And it was an opportunity that I saw. You know, I saw that the owner was retiring at some point. He was getting older. I had a part-time job there, working there on a Saturday, and I heard him say that he was going to sell it to a guy at the golf club who was going to buy it for his son. And I thought, you know what? Like, how come he doesn't say that it's for sale to me? And I said to him, I'll buy it. And he said to me, you're going to buy it. You don't have any money. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get money. So, yeah, I managed to get all the money together to do it and bought it. And I was very scared. Obviously, I thought, oh gosh, like, am I going to actually be able to do this on my own? And at the beginning, it was just me. So here we are.
How
you know,
old
Dr.
were
Chris
you when
did
you
work
did
there
that?
for quite a while. So I probably would have been, I reckon it would have been about 10 years ago. So it would have been about
right.
30. It was just
Oh
not
my
long after my
Wow.
father passed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry to hear that.
I think it was kind of, though, that my father passing, though, that kind of gave me the courage to do it, because I felt like, you know what, you only get one life. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? You go broke, you go bankrupt, you're all like down and out. Yeah, I mean, that stuff can happen for sure, but you know, you not doing anything isn't going to get you anywhere.
Oh my God, you really sound like me. Do I not say, anyone that knows me, Dr. Kat, I'm always like, live your life, go for your dreams, because I live every day as if it was my last. Anyone that knows me, I'm always happy, great energy. I try to do something new every week with an incentive where I'm like, let's do this. This will be fun, because I'd rather go through life on doing what I want to do instead of, I always say, what do I say to you, Grace? You can't bring your money to the grave. People who save,
100%.
save. You cannot bring your money
Right.
to your grave. The
Never.
Egyptians already tried that with all the gold, What did that do? No one's ever come back and
Agreed.
said, it gets you to the VIP heaven, you know what I mean? So, no.
That's what I say about shoes. I always think, when I buy new shoes or something, I think to myself, well, what am I going to do with the money otherwise? So the reality is that, you donate stuff, you do heaps of stuff with it. But at the same time, you've got to enjoy your life. You've got to enjoy the stuff that you're doing right now. And as I say, money doesn't buy happiness, but it makes it a whole lot better.
That's true. And the fact that you own, you're a doctor, you're a veterinarian as well. You would get along really well with my father. He always said that he would put his kids before, he would always put the animals before the kids. And he always said that. And he always said, never trust someone that doesn't like dogs, Sonny. He always said that to me.
100%.
My dad's from Bondi,
right?
like country as like.
Yeah. Like, as in Bundaberg?
Yeah, I went to Bondi.
Oh, I love that. I've
Yeah.
been to Bundaberg, actually.
You have?
Yeah, I have, when I was little. My father's friend used to live there, and we went to visit one day, Bundaberg.
Really?
Your father's friend.
Oh,
Sonny's dad.
Probably is, right?
I don't know.
There's only like a couple of people there.
Yeah, Paul. He's got his name tattooed on his fingers.
Very funny.
What were you going to say, Grace?
We sort of have to touch on what is going on RHOS at the moment, because if people at home aren't listening, it's like on fire. It's I say it's like the same energy as the glory days of Melbourne, which to me is like epic. But my first burning question, and no one's answering it for me, is the feather in Victoria's hair, is that real? Do you know? Ooh. Or is it fake? And have you noticed it? And
I have noticed it, but I'm actually not sure of that. I haven't had a great deal of contact with Victoria, and there is this narrative of like that I somehow know Victoria quite well. So we obviously filmed together a whole of 5 times.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Because obviously I think it was episode 5 when she went over to Europe, and or maybe 6 because she obviously came back for the like towards the end there, but really very, very few times. So I don't know. And actually it was quite recently that I said to Terry, what is that thing in her hair?
Thank you. Because I was just like, the irony of all of these conversations, and she's got this feather hanging out, was like so hilarious to me. It was crazy.
I was saying to Grace, when Real Housewives of Sydney season 2 started, I'm glad they recast. I said it was like Miami. If you watch Real Housewives of Miami, there's like 7 or 8 of them, and I like that it has so many women in it because it's just so much going on. And I noticed, and you've probably noticed as well, you're like the macadamia nut that in the crew, because you're the only blonde out of the whole cast, because it's 7 of them, and they're all brunette. I mean, that's a great thing. Right?
Yep, totally. Yeah. It's very odd, right?
For Australia, very odd for Australia. Did not expect that at all. Yeah.
And I'm not even a real blonde.
Don't say that.
Is anyone real blonde?
Is anyone real blonde?
Yeah. How can you even tell?
True. So question I have, which might be a bit controversial, is, or what I just really want to know is the tea, is that obviously what we've seen at the moment is that you and Chrissy have a fair bit of like tension going on. Not going to say fighting, but there's like, a little bit of between you both. What is the go with her knowing you, then pretending not to know you? Do you think that sort of added to the tension? Is that going to come out as the series goes on? Because I know you mentioned it earlier, and I'm really interested. Like, do you know why she pretended not to know you? Because that's a shit feeling. Like, that
such a shit feeling. Everyone's been in that boat and it sucks. So we can.
Yeah. So it's a really funny question because I actually don't know the answer. So when I first walked onto set, obviously, I know Chrissy's dogs. I have treated them multiple times. It's not just once. It was a long time ago. It was like 2019, so a while ago.
Yeah.
But I would think that either I've got a very good memory because I remember her dogs quite well, and I even remember their names, and I remember quite a lot of things about them. So there's a lot of clients for me to have to remember, and there's not that many vets for Chrissy to have to remember.
Yes.
So I would think that it was, and when I walk into that particular moment, I kind of followed her lead. I thought, okay, like, I'm not sure if she wants me to mention that or whether she wants to acknowledge that or not. And so I kind of followed her lead on that, and she really didn't want to. At one point, which was obviously in the background, there was talk about where the vet clinic was, and I kind of looked over because I thought at that point, was she going to pipe up and say, "Oh, I've been there"?
Yeah.
But she didn't. So I thought, okay, well, we're just going to be here.
And you'd want to be nice to the person that's taking care of your dogs. Everyone that has any animals, a person that's saving their animals, let me tell you, they are like God. So it's interesting. It's weird.
Can I ask you another question, which you don't have to answer, but I just would really like to know. Did you get the vibe, or what was Chrissy's vibe like when you first met her and you were Dr. Kate? You weren't
as
Kate
in
Housewife.
at the vet clinic, or well, I don't think that we probably even saw eye to eye as vet and client.
Okay. That says, yeah.
And so, there was, certainly, I guess, obviously she hasn't come back since 2019. So, yeah, we weren't obviously overly sad about that.
Interesting.
And
good answer.
I felt like I just sort of let that. And you know what? I don't know her personally. And I went into this thinking it could be very bad, but I also went into it thinking, okay, well, that might have been a time in her life or whatever that she was really stressed or whatever, so let's just sort of leave things in the past. And it probably wasn't until such times as obviously she had a crack about my outfit, being a nun, and then she had anal gland Monday, that kind of came up, that I realized there's a certain level of hostility towards me. And I thought, oh gosh, there's the target on my back. And, to some degree, I the way that I see it anyway, and not everyone probably feels this way, I felt that probably both Caroline and I had that target.
Okay.
But I felt as though probably, particularly, I guess, with the Porngate start, and I think that obviously Caroline, backed out of that pretty well. She didn't really want to sort of get into that too much. So that was cool. I think my reason for bringing up the fact that I knew her was probably to give some explanation as to why I possibly have that target. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe I just really did have a target for no other reason, but that's the only reason that I can possibly think of.
Yeah, sure.
Well, when someone has it in for you, Dr. Kate, we all know we've all been in that position. That's why you're so relatable in this situation. Is that I just think that Chrissy is just jealous of you, and I know that's said easier than done. When you've never done anything, you've just taken care of their animals, you've met them, you're on a show with them now, and they're just calling you an onion, calling you names, all these things. They're just jealous of you, and they need to get over it. And the good thing is you keep being who you are, which is showing on air at the moment. And you can tell her friends like Terry and all that are just going, no, I'm standing up for what's right. Kate's not in the wrong here, and we stand by her. And that's why she's acted on Tokyo episode that got released this year that shows the true her, that she can't handle that one of her friends is standing by you and not her. And like Terry said that, we love Tezza as well. We're not gonna, I'm gonna stand by what's right just because you're my friend and you just can't handle that you're a shitster. Now it's turned into, we don't know what's to come, but now it's turned into them two fighting. So all you did was stand your ground, be honest, stay true to who you are, and that shows. And they never know how these shows in reality TV will be edited. And now the whole Australia is
and even we don't know.
Correct.
We don't know either.
Yeah.
So it's always a little bit worrying when how these things are going to get edited, because you think, oh gosh, like how is this going to kind of play out? The other thing is that I wasn't there, right? Like I was off like having a great time making sushi.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this was kind of all going on. I do think that, one of the things I'm quite conscious of is the fact that in some crazy way, and I know that this is not the case, I do feel a little bit responsible for Terry being in this situation. And I know I shouldn't, because it's kind of actually the person, it's like someone saying, don't be friends with her. If you're friends with her, you can't be friends with us. And then taking it out on the person that hasn't really given that ultimatum. But I still do feel a little responsible for it. And I think, Terry is a really good human, and she wants to stand up for whatever she wants to stand up for. And, one of the things that I think really, kills a show like this is alliances.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
agreed.
I think that, one of the things I do want to sort of point out is that Terry's a very independent person to me, as much as we're very good friends. Terry would have done the exact same thing to me had it been in the other way. And even during Fergate, I have no doubt that if the shoe was on the other foot, Terry would have said something towards me. So it's not necessarily about defending me all the time.
Correct.
It just
Terry's
happens
doing what she thinks is right.
You're in the hot seat all the time.
Yeah.
Off topic. So do you know in any of the Real Housewife franchises around the world, you've got Real Housewives of Atlanta, they hold the peach. You've got Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they hold the diamond. Why doesn't Sydney hold anything? And if they were to, what do you think it should be?
Well, I don't know, actually. I don't know why we don't hold anything. I think that really, if we were to hold anything, I definitely think we should be holding cats.
Sorry, that's actually rude. That just threw me off. I did not think that would be the answer. Yeah. But yeah, that's funny. Maybe they'll do it for season 3.
Maybe. Or just you, when just you do your turn. Everyone else is there. Anyway.
We could hold tomatoes. Like we could hold tomatoes to throw at each other, or like those sushi knives. We could go and get some sushi knives. And
that's good. Magpie.
Yeah,
no, cats, man, cats.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier that you're a big fan of Beverly Hills Housewives, and you also just mentioned that you think alliances kill a show. So what's your opinion on the alliances in Beverly Hills?
I think that they don't do the show any favors.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when alliances start to form, I think that sometimes what happens is that the show gets a little bit boring.
Yes.
Got you.
Do you think there are any alliances in Beverly Hills?
There's definitely some alliances. So Garcelle, definitely there is an alliance there, I think. Do you think?
Yes. I think
with Sutton and Crystal?
Yeah.
Well, I think there is, but I thought that alliance came at the offset of the original alliance, because they were like the losers.
I think you're right, and I think actually that you have to be careful about putting the people who make the alliance in response to the other alliance, because when there's an alliance, the other side then has to form an alliance, because
then you're just,
I mean, even on this show, like it's hard to be able to actually call out your friends that are your alliance, because then you're like, oh, we got bigger fish to fry, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think obviously the bigger alliance there was probably the Rinna alliance, which obviously is no longer.
Speaking of Beverly Hills, if you're up to date, you know how there's...
I'm not up to date.
Oh, you're not?
No, and to be honest with you, I'm usually like episode by episode. Like I'm literally run home to watch each episode. But interestingly, this year, and probably because I'm dealing with my own show, is I haven't even
It's a
watched
good
one
thing.
episode yet.
You can binge it. So that's you don't have to wait week to week. It's actually a blessing in
Yeah.
disguise.
I'm going to kind of keep up with the whole thing and the Dorit PK situation and whatever. I keep up in the media, but haven't watched anything.
As you know, there's a guy from Fuckboy Island in America that was on a podcast recently and owned up and said he had a threesome with two of the housewives of Beverly Hills. I don't know if you know this. So he had a threesome with two of the housewives of Beverly Hills. In the bed, the husband wasn't there. Then he said it was really weird. After he had the threesome, he then went on the trampoline and started jumping on the trampoline with the kids. The husband came home and the Beverly Hills wife said, "My husband's coming home. Say that you work in real estate and you're looking at the house." So now the whole housewife world is going crazy trying to work out who had the threesome. Who out of all the Beverly Hills women do you think had the threesome with him? Yeah.
Is it people on the show now, or can it be people in past?
He said he didn't say now. He said in the whole thing. I think it's a reason why he did that because
There's got to be Brandy in there, surely.
Yeah. I think Brandy and Carlton. I don't know if you remember Carlton, the witch. Remember the witch?
I can't remember. Oh,
She had the sex.
Carlton. I was trying to think of her the other day, actually.
She had the sex dungeon.
Isn't it weird how sometimes you remember people really well? Like Taylor, I'll never forget Taylor.
Taylor Armstrong.
No.
Yeah.
But then I kind of don't remember the witch lady.
That was Carlton. She was quite witchy and she put a hex on Kyle and stuff. But anyway, that hasn't come out.
Yolanda? Could be Yolanda.
No, she would never do it.
No,
huh?
she wouldn't.
I don't know. They don't know who it is yet. Who did you think it was?
I thought it was Diana Jenkins and
that's right.
Who else did I say? Erica Jane.
Yes.
Anyway.
Erica Jane, it could be.
And Diana Jenkins,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Because
Erica is my favorite character, though. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, nice. Mine. I like Kyle and Grace hates that, but that's what I like about Housewives.
Yeah.
You all.
I also like Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? It's always that's what's so beautiful about Housewives. So my sister is such a Rinna fan. She just loves Rinna. Rinna all the way. And I have always not really found a connection with Rinna. And I've tried so hard. I've been like, I like you. I like your dresses. I like the way you look. I like your hair, but I still like Erica Jane.
Yeah, good on you. Stay true to who you like.
Yeah.
And you know what's even really funny about Housewives? It's like, oh, look, so-and-so stole $2 million earrings. And then you're like, oh, detail. We still like her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, I know. We're like bad people.
That's Housewives for you, because, who you go for now isn't always who you're going to go for. And it's why when I get trolled or people say terrible things about me, I think, you know what, that's the nature of the beast, right? That is Housewives. And maybe people who don't like me this season might like me in another season or another episode or whatever. So I think you kind of take it with a grain of salt.
My favorite quote ever is, "You got to have haters to be important."
It's true.
100%.
That's true.
100%.
Yeah. So on RHOS, if you said you watched season 1, who would you like to bring from the season 1 original cast?
Oh, I love this question.
Not
Definitely
Chrissy or Nicole.
Lisa Oldfield.
Yeah, we love her as well. That's good. She's
Hi, Lisa.
in a good
I
way.
really are watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really like Lisa Oldfield.
Yeah.
And if you had to send one of your current castmates back to season 1 and they don't make it to season 2, who would that
3.
be?
I mean, I think we probably all know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
It'd be a tough choice, right? It's going to be a tough choice between, Victoria or Chrissy.
Yeah, let's send Victoria. Let's.
A boat big enough for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, though, I think that they're two very, very different people, and as much as obviously they work in the background as the same person, they are definitely very different people. And I think for me, probably the kicker that is the element of narcissism that comes with Fergate.
True.
And I think that was hard going. And I think that if we didn't have Fergate there, I'm not sure exactly what else there would have been there.
Yeah.
Whereas Chrissy does, as much as, she worked very hard on this show, as much as I don't like her. She worked very hard. She's always on time. She puts her heart and soul into the show. So, credit where credit's due.
See, this is where you're a good person, man. Man. I've got two little mini games for you. One that goes for a minute, one that goes for 30 seconds. The first game is called You Can Stand By What You Said or You Can Take It Back. Do you stand by or take back by saying Chrissy is a big bird with an ugly dress?
I definitely would take away the big bird and I would keep the ugly dress.
Nice. Do you stand by or take back saying to Victoria that you would rather swallow razor blades than go to her party?
Oh, I'm definitely keeping that one.
Nice. Do you stand by or take back mocking Chrissy and her husband's 80-year-old story penis and then her laugh?
No, I'm keeping that one.
Nice. That was iconic. And now the last game, it goes for a minute. This is called Spilling the Tequila podcast. So let's spill some tea with some fast questions for you, Dr. Kate Adams. Who do you think is the most overrated housewife of all time out of all the franchises? Five, four.
Taylor. I'm going to go Taylor.
Taylor Armstrong. Ooh.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite house husband?
Mauricio.
Nice. What city anywhere in the world do you think should get the next Housewives series?
London. Paris.
That's true, actually. What do you think of Monica from Salt Lake City if you've watched Salt Lake City?
I haven't watched Salt Lake City, so no comment there.
Perfect. Who do you think you would clash with if you were on the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
Who would I clash with?
Yeah, this cast that's on air.
I think it probably would be. It would have been Rinna if Rinna was on it, but
True,
probably
actually.
Crystal. I think Crystal.
Okay, nice. Who out of all the housewives that have released songs, which is your favorite song out of all the housewives?
Favorite song? I don't have a favorite. I don't know that anything great has come out of Housewives, has it? Song-wise?
Can't buy you class. Luann. Countess Luann.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was it. That was the questions for Hot Minute.
Great.
Spilling the Tequila. Over to
Love
you,
it.
Gracie.
You guys know everything. I don't have that good a memory that I remember all the, and like sometimes I've watched Beverly Hills not really thinking, oh, one day I'm going to have to be asked about this. I better take notes.
No, you don't need to study. for
No,
our
you don't need to
podcast.
study.
We're drinking tequila while we do a podcast. So,
Yeah.
not
It's
that
just
serious.
we ask these questions because we have a big following in America after she went to BravoCon that listened to, we do Housewives recaps. So now that Housewives of Sydney, your season is going to be airing, the listeners in America would be listening to it. So we're trying to give them what your views are of the other franchises. Actually, while we're speaking about that, before Grace goes to her next question, Dr. Kate, do you know when Real Housewives of Sydney, for our American listeners, will be airing? If so, how can they stream it? And do you know any of those answers, actually? Because I'll be listening to this episode.
I don't know any of the answers. I do know that it's on Hayu, which I believe is in the States. And it just might be quite hard to find, but it is there.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
perfect.
was telling people about it. I was spreading the word at BravoCon about
Yeah.
RHOS, and I was saying download a VPN, guys.
And you've got to get ready for this, Dr. Kate, because when they start watching it, I remember a story about Jackie from Housewives of Melbourne. She was at the award show with obviously her husband being a famous, drummer, Ben Gillies, and at the American Music Awards. And what's that chick's name that sings Opposites Attract? And Paula Abdul. That's right.
Oh, Paula Abdul.
So she was in the toilet and Jackie was there and she came out of the toilet and she goes, oh my God, Jackie from Housewives. Not that she has an Australian accent. She goes, please read my palm. I watch your show. Please read my palm. So Housewives of Melbourne was really big over there that a lot of them were watching it. So you're going to have to,
that.
right? That's what I mean. It's a whole nother universe that's going to be opened up for you. And I'm so excited. What were you going to say, Grace?
I just would love to talk about a little bit. We were touched on it earlier about a housewife that is independent, We were not the word single, because I totally agree with what you said. And I was just thinking back to the dinner in the latest episode when you guys were having dinner, and obviously there was the big debacle, you know, whether there was tension between you and Terry or you and Chrissy or whatever. First, I would just love to know if you took offense at what Terry said of like, just do you, or whatever it was to that sort of device. And then second, did you ever feel like any of the women really thought or thought, oh, she's single, I'm going to really attach to this as like my way to like have a go?
I definitely think that subconsciously that there's an element of, you know, when you're not married to someone, you can't, I guess, rely on that person's social capital. So, you know, I think that there's definitely an element of, you know, you have only your own social capital. So you're definitely an easier target than what you would be if you had someone who was, you know, in society as a wealthy and powerful man, right? Just the nature of it. So I'm sure no one would admit to that, but I'm sure it exists.
Yeah, or did you feel that way? I mean, obviously that doesn't say their
100%.
intention was that.
100%.
And
I think for some reason people think it is very, very odd that I'm not married, and they think it is very odd. And the true answer to the question when I keep getting asked, why are you not married, really is I don't really know. I just kind of live life, and I just wake up every day and think, what are we doing today, Pinky? Like you know, and I live life like you said, like it's my last. And, you know, if someone isn't suiting the way that it's not like I haven't had long-term relationships before. It's just that I've never actually got to walking down the aisle. And to me, it's never been overly important.
No.
And so I just kind of do me, and I don't really worry about it. And I really do think men are like the 333, like another one will come along. I think
that is so funny.
Kind of doing your own thing, right?
So true.
So
I think what like I was noticing in the show was you would kind of get like a few words in and sort of have that sentiment, and then it would like go back. And I think it's not like it's happening to you, which I think is the way everyone always talks about it. It's like, oh my God, this unfortunate thing that's happened to her, where it's like, no, this is my life. And like,
I choose to be like this.
Yeah, I could have married that guy doing breath work, but why would I
and
want
everyone says like, no wonder she's single. And I think I don't have a lack of suitors. Like it's not, I don't like, I'm not married because of the fact like I'm desperate and dateless over here. So yeah, I just believe in being fun, and I am fun. And so I just kind of do that. I don't really think too hard about it.
Yeah.
And everyone else makes me think hard about it. So I certainly wasn't offended with that whole Terry moment. So I watched my face back, and an astute viewer, which probably people don't look at it this closely. Obviously, I get jabbed in the ribs with a fork by old mate Chrissy about being closed after I just told this giant story of my past engagement. And there's an implication there that there's a reason I'm single. That's the implication. And the implication is saying that the reason that I'm single is because I'm so closed off, which is not. I'm probably closed off to Chrissy, but not everybody else. So I am getting jabbed. I have gone into this dinner in Tokyo saying I will not get in any fights. This will be like, I will be on my best behavior. So you see my face like scrunch and like turn, because I think, oh, I'm gonna jab her. And I look at Terry and I look at her, and it's actually the eyes of camaraderie.
Yes.
So I look at her like, oh, I'm so pissed, babe. Like, please help me and get me out of here. So Terry, to smooth it over, and you see Terry does this. Terry's stressed. She does this neck thing where she goes, like, and then she can see that where she thinks shit's about to get real. And then what she does is she kind of smooths it over. She says, I think just be whoever you want to be. So that is to deflect the attention from my face being like this.
Yes.
But it's not made at Terry. It's made because I'm getting jabbed in the side.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even think until it was brought up on the show that, oh no, she was angry at you, Terry. It never even crossed my mind.
Me either.
It didn't us either.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have any clue that anyone, I was thinking, Chrissy, are you at the same dinner as us? Like,
yeah.
How many wines have you had, bro? Because we didn't see that at all. And I think it took Terry by surprise. And when I watch it back and look at this, where they were at this sake tasting, and Terry looks like, oh, well, no, it wasn't us that had the issue here, babe.
They'll
I
believe
think
what
Terry,
they
though,
want to
handled
do.
it very well. She handled it very well.
Yeah. Now, I know we've gone over time, so every guest that we have on the show, the last two questions, which is Spilling the Tequila's famous questions, is when you sing happy birthday to someone, are you more of a hip hip or a hooray type of girl?
Hooray!
Are you a
hooray?
Yeah, okay. You're just think, man. You're like,
what
wait.
are you guys? I've never thought about that before.
I think I'm more of a hip because I'm the one that I'm the friend that's like, come on guys, get together, hip, trying to get everyone into it. But that's if I'm close to them, but I'm a hooray if I'm really drunk at tequila, like, hooray! I think I'm more of a hip.
Yeah, I'm a hip because I feel bad when everyone does a low energy hip. So
yes.
I'm like, let me take over.
Yes.
Step in.
And the last famous Spilling Tequila question was, when you open your tomato and barbecue sauce, do you keep it in the fridge or the cupboard?
First of all, I don't own tomato sauce or barbecue sauce.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Maybe next time you'll even get a tour of my fridge. But no, I don't own either of those condiments. However, if I did, it would probably be in the cupboard.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Grace does it in the cupboard. Now, we know you've got to go. You look wonderful. Cheeky. Have fun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Yes.
We'll do a kampai for you.
Kampai.
Kampai. And
but you don't clink, right?
No, you don't clink, you bow. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. I love Japan. I wish you could talk, but we know you've got something in.
To tell us all about Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. I'm that friend. I'm like sumimasen, like sugoi.
I know, like I do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kate. We really
Thanks for having me.
your
It
time.
was fabulous. I love the podcast. So honoured.
And we love you.
We love you, and you're welcome to come on the show anytime and have fun tonight. And thank you so much. Everyone, check out Dr. Kate Adams on season 2 of Real Housewives of Sydney.